Hi everyone, and in this first video we're going to be talking about establishing our roots and really knowing what the masculine is so we can embed that within us. So David, what is this all about, establishing the roots?
Well, it's what most people would call, or some people would call, individuating or differentiating. It's basically knowing who we are outside of what we hallucinate other people think about us. It's like our sense of self. That in itself is not particularly masculine or feminine, but an important piece of that self-knowledge is boundaries. And boundaries are a very masculine concept. Limitation, structure, container, those are all very masculine things. And I have a personal belief that the process of knowing who we are happens in the body. It's actually somatic. It's a physiological process. Because I was trained in Taoist and in Hawaiian cultural practices, there's a lot of emphasis on the belly. Mm-hmm. And so the way I navigate that, and women can do this also, it's the same process. When I'm not sure about who I am or what I need to do, I bring my awareness down into my belly. And I believe that's not only a metaphor, but that's actually neurological. It has to do with the vagus nerve and this parasympathetic response, which the vagus nerve goes down here. It's a cranial nerve, the 10th cranial nerve. But the take-home point for that is that if we need to know who we are, I believe that we bring our awareness down into our belly, and most traditional cultures do this. So as a man or a woman, if we want to establish a sense of self that is simultaneously strong and dynamic, I believe that's a really important piece. Do you ever meet somebody and you feel like you relax around them because they know who they are? They're not aggressive, but they just have a really strong sense of themselves without slinging their neuroses, but they're just rooted in themselves. I think that process, part of that process is a very masculine process, and just knowing who we are and being comfortable in our skin and embracing shadow too, the parts of ourselves we don't want to look at.
Yeah, I think Chandra mentions in the Understanding the Feminine section that, and also in my book, we speak that the feminine is really the body.
Ah, interesting.
So, I mean, it's a concept, but we say the feminine is the body. So in this part, we're actually, and there's going to be crossovers in understanding the masculine and understanding the feminine. These two things are very interlinked because they're inside us. So what we're doing here in David's process is establishing our roots by bringing the consciousness into the body, the consciousness masculine, as in our concept, into the body and connecting both.
And we teach self-defense classes for women at the Earth Medicine Institute, and that is a very masculine thing. In order to learn to defend themselves, women have to embrace their inner warrior, which is traditionally a masculine archetype. So that process of embracing that warrior is preceded by knowing that they are worth protecting and worth defending. So yeah, and I think for all people, men and women, that's the foundation piece, is dropping into the belly and getting a sense of self and other, as opposed to a sort of a less boundaried way of looking at the world. I think in my view or my perception of humanity, people that have good boundaries and are clear communicators are much healthier. And in a lot of ways, those are very masculine concepts.
And also, I'd like to add to this section about establishing the roots. What for you is the masculine?
The masculine is active. This is a Taoist perspective. It's different in Hinduism and Tantric traditions, but because I move from a Taoist perspective, the masculine is that which is, it's active, it's expanded, it is penetrating, it's warm, it sets boundaries, and it holds space. In the way I interpret Taoist thought is the masculine holds space for the feminine.
And it's this is all about speaking about the inside of us, as well as, so we're not talking about men, women, we're talking about
exactly. And that is the part in us that knows who we are and sets boundaries is a masculine part. The part of us that loves ourselves is a more feminine part from my perspective, the loving, nurturing part of that. And we need both. But knowing that we are worth defending, that we are worth taking good care of, that we have value is to me a masculine principle. And the way I've personally accessed that is through that process of what I call dropping in my body, listening to my guts.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of crossover, as I've just mentioned, with the masculine and feminine. What I would say is that, the healthy masculine aspects you talk of there, of having some sort of boundaries, knowing what is good for you, what is good for your body, what is good for your mind, what is good for your life, and also taking action is quite a...
There's a masculine aspect. So really what's happening when we drop in is we're bringing our masculinity, the expanded yang part of us, into the feminine. We're uniting the two.
Yeah.
So we're not just feeling and flowing, we're feeling and we're bringing our clear masculine energy down into this body part, the part that you call the feminine, and we're navigating from there with both together. And the part of that that's love is the feminine, and the part of that is boundaries and discerning intelligence is more of the masculine, from my perspective.
Okay. So you may have some questions on this video. If you have any questions, you can leave them below or ask me on the forum. I'll be over there to answer any questions. But this is a video to really give you the awareness to step into your body, know what's going on, and the overview of what is the masculine, because it's this place inside all of us, whether in a male body or a female body, where we have access to these traits which we have specifically said they're masculine. So we'll see you in the next video.